welcome to the City of Montgomery City Council regular meeting for April 28th, 2026. It is 6 p.m. on the dot. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum, Ms. Devon, however, Mr. Olson is not present at the time. Hopefully he's just in traffic. With that, I'd like to ask you to stand. First of all, would you make sure your phones are on silent or vibrate so that we are not disrupted during the meeting? That would be most appreciated, and then we can all stand for the invocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening, and I'm reminded in Proverbs 28, verse 2, it says, when there is moral rot within a nation, its government topples easily, but wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. Tonight, Father, I ask you, Father, that you give us wisdom and knowledge, Father, to do what's right, Father, to make the right decisions that will promote the city of Montgomery. I thank you, Lord, that you're watching over our soldiers, Father, and our military personnel, Father. We have this situation in Iran and over the world, Father. I thank you that you always watch over them and guide them in all their ways and protect them and their loved ones. Father, we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, now the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now to the great state, Texas, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, there are two citizens' comments. I'll call them in order. The first one is Mr. Tyler Cooper. Would you please come to the podium and state your name for the record and your address, please, sir?
Sure, no problem. My name is Tyler Cooper. So good evening. I'm commenting on number 16 on the agenda. My name is Tyler Cooper. My family and I live at 118 Anna Springs Lane. I am here regarding the proposed rezoning of the church property to the north of us. While we are not opposed to the church or its continued presence in our community, I respectfully ask that any approval of this rezoning be accompanied by clear accountability for prior development and strict oversight for any future improvements. Our concern stems from what we've already experienced with prior development on the adjacent church property. After the church purchased, cleared, sodded, and paved the neighboring lot behind our home, we began experiencing significant flooding and drainage issues that had never occurred during our first several years of living here. Heavy rainfall overwhelmed our drainage ditch and French drain system, flooded our pool with mud and debris, and contributed to the deterioration of our driveway. To the church's credit, after concerns were raised, I met with the church representative and the drainage ditch was cut between our properties. While appreciated, that action does not eliminate the broader issue. Development impacts occurred and uncertainty remains as to whether the property was originally developed in full compliance with the city requirements. As this council considers further rezoning and expansion, I respectfully request that the church be held to the same standards as any other property owner or developer in the city. Specifically, I ask for the city to first conduct or require a review of prior site work already completed on the church property to verify that all required plats, permits, engineering approvals, drainage evaluations, setbacks, and inspections were properly obtained and complied with. Second, if deficiencies or violations are identified, require corrective action to the property is brought into compliance and the resulting impacts to adjacent homeowners are mitigated. Third, require that any future development associated with the rezoning fully comply with all city ordinances and approval process before constructions begin. That includes the proper planning, permits, and engineering approvals set forth in the city ordinances, drainage studies reviewed by the city engineer, analysis of downstream impacts to neighboring residential properties, adequate buffer zones, screening and setback compliance, and measures to mitigate light and noise impacts from expanded use of the property. This is not a request for special treatment, it is just a request for equal treatment. If another property owner or developer altered drainage patterns, reduced buffers, or created adverse impact on neighboring homes, they would be expected to remedy those issues and comply with the city standards. The same expectations should apply here. We simply ask that the city ensure prior work is properly scrutinized, deficiencies are corrected if they exist, and that future development proceeds responsibly, transparently, and in full compliance with the standards established to protect those surrounding residents. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Appreciate it. Second, I'm on the citizens' comments. I'd like to acknowledge Stephanie Johnson as the community builder. The Masonic Lodge recognized her last week as a community builder for the organization and a bridge between the city and Masonic Lodge. And so, Stephanie, if you please stand up, we'd love to give you a hand. Thank you. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so next item on your agenda, presentation, item number 5, proclamation recognizing 57th Annual Municipal Clerks Week, May 3rd through 9th, 2026. Whereas the profession of municipal clerks is an essential to the effective functioning of local government in Texas, ensuring transparency, accountability, and the smooth operation of municipal services. And whereas the office of municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas Texas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality while serving as the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all levels. And whereas Texas municipal clerks serve as the official record keepers, managing vital documents, conducting municipal elections, providing legislative support, and ensuring compliance with laws and regulations in the cities across Texas. And whereas municipal clerks demonstrate exceptional dedication, professionalism, and integrity in their work, often going above and beyond to serve their communities and facilitate the effective governance of local governments. And whereas the Texas Municipal Clerks Association, TMCA, represents more than 1,100 municipal clerks who contribute significantly to the success and efficiency of local government throughout the state of Texas. And whereas Municipal Clerks Week provides an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the invaluable work of municipal clerks, acknowledge their vital contributions to public service, and highlight the important role they play in the day-to-day operations of our cities. And whereas it is fitting that the City of Montgomery take this opportunity to honor and thank Secretary Ruby Bevan and Deputy City Secretary Diana Titus for their ongoing dedication, knowledge, and tireless service. Now, therefore, I, Sarah Countryman, Mayor, do hereby proclaim the week of May 3rd, 2026 as Municipal Clerks Week in the City of Montgomery, and encourage all residents to recognize the important work of City Secretary Ruby Bevan and Deputy City Secretary Diana Titus and join in celebrating their contributions to our community. A witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Montgomery to be affixed this 28th day of April 2026. Ms. Bevan, if you'd like to please come. Hey, Ms. Titus. Huh? Where is she? Where is she? There she is. I know. I was like, come on up here, Ms. Titus. Congratulations. Thank you for all you do. We appreciate you. All right. Thank you. Do you want to take a picture? Okay. You're good. All right. Thank you.
What? No picture.
All right. Item number 6 on your agenda is Employee Appreciation Awards for years of service. So, staff recommends that City Council recognize and present Employee Appreciation Awards to employees reaching 1, 5, and 10-year service milestones. The City of Montgomery values the dedication and commitment of its employees. In appreciation of their ongoing service, and the following individuals have achieved milestone anniversaries and are recommended for acknowledgement. All right, year 1 recognition: Ruby Bevan, Rosa Contello, Peter Dawsett, Caleb Hines, Jose Jacinto, and Stephanie Johnson. Please come forward. Thank you for all you do for the City of Montgomery. Thank you for all you do for the City of Montgomery. And we will give these to those. All right. Next up, the 5-year recognition is none other than Michael Boyko. Is he here? Nope, he's an officer. Okay. All right. Well, he gets okay. All right. And 10-year recognition. May we please see Kimberly Duckett? It's not a watch, but it's close. Thank you. 100 years. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ms. Duckett. Thank you, everyone, for all you do for the citizens of the city. We appreciate you. Next item on the agenda, number 7, presentation by Tim Duckworth on equipment upgrades at the park for the Homecoming Park Improvements Project. Hello.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm just going to say a few words before Tim comes up. Just wanted to remind y'all, last year at budget time, I had asked for $200 grand for park improvements with the intent of doing some major upgrades at Homecoming Park. And y'all acknowledged it and we're good with the plan. So we've been working with Tim last month or so on a plan over there. He came out and met with us, went over a site design, and fortunately found some good state funding for us to really help get the most bang for our buck on this. So I'm not going to steal all his thunder on this. I'm going to let him come up and present. He's got a presentation ready for you. Just wanted to team him up and get him up here.
Thank you for setting the table.
Thank you.
Hello.
Council, how are y'all? Madam Mayor, thank you for having me. My name is Tim Duckworth. I'm with Cunningham Recreation. I'm going to use this and hopefully it works. There it goes. I'm with Cunningham Recreation, representing Game Time Playgrounds as the manufacturer. I want to introduce Cunningham a little bit to you. It'll take me a second to calm down a little bit. I get nervous at first, but I'll calm down. Cunningham was founded in 1966. It's a third-generation family-owned company. We have multiple layers of experience in design, management, project management, and construction. We have a team approach, how we approach all our projects. We're the largest rep agency for playgrounds in the United States. We represent over 17 states. We have a full office from 8 to 5. You're like, hallelujah, thank you. That's good for if I'm out sick or something's going on, you have someone to get a hold of if something's wrong with your park, some playground in your park. You have someone that you can reach at all times during the week. We're all NIPSI certified. That's a course that we have to take through the state of Texas to be approved, and we have a licensed LAN staff. There it goes. Game Time is the manufacturer. It's the leading manufacturer for playground equipment here in the United States. It started in 1929. We meet and exceed all industry standards. Our insurance liability is very, very important for the residents of Montgomery. If a child is injured on a playground, we carry $52 million product liability. The only company that's closest to us is $26 million in product liability. And we believe that's all behind our patented direct bolt. No one in the industry has a direct bolt system. So a lot of the things that could go wrong in the field when you build, it's all in the manufacturer. It's, and so I'm getting off a little bit, but a lot of mistakes that can happen in the field. If it's not put together properly, it won't go together type thing. So today, Mike joined me in Mount Bellevue, and he talked about some funds and some grant funding to help stretch the dollars for this project. And we have a national demonstration site. CORE is our parent company, and they have research of why we design what we do for the children, the development of a child. And so today there was a course for multiple cities throughout our area that came and listened and learned about the different areas of the national demonstration site that we offer. We have one that's our 7 principles, that's more of an inclusive playgrounds, and then Play On, that's a physically active playground, some fitness, and then nature, and so on. The design that was chosen for Homecoming Park was a Play On design. Help me. There we go. And what a Play On is youth physical activity, and the purpose is to get the kids moving and have a playground designed to have constantly, when the kids are there, to get them to stay longer and constantly have them moving and get some of that exercise. To research for this program, we partnered with Shape America, LSU, and Western University. Western Michigan, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to move fast. So the goals that we had to reach to make the design for a play-on design is balancing, break-aiding, the monkey bars, if you remember, climbing, swinging, sliding, and spinning. Those are the 6 areas of essential elements that had to be on your design. And this is the design that we came up with to reach all, and you can see that I put some numbers out there for the number 1 for the break-aiding, the overhead ladder that you can see underneath, the spinning, the adaptive seat that allows the child to spin. Number 3, balancing. You can't see it on this, but I'll show you a top view. There's some balancing on, you see in the top right, we have pod steppers to give that balance. Climbing, there's multiples of this throughout this design as well. Climbing, number 4, and then sliding, and then swinging. Within the swings, we added the hot seats for the little guys to belt. And then we also wanted to think about, this is a fully physical playground, but it is ADA approved. We added a disc swing at the end, which will allow a child to transfer out of a mobility device and be able to swing. Plus, it's designed for 3, 4, 5 kids at a time to go. On the far side, which is kind of hard to see, we have some spring rider. You kind of see it in the far right corner for the little guys, and also there is a stand-up seesaw on the back side in front of the swings. And this is kind of a 2D top view of how it would look inside of the park. If you, in the bottom right corner, that's your bathrooms. This is your parking lot to the left, so the main sidewalk. And then there would, you come down into the park. Currently where the swings is now is where we're proposing the new playground to go. And then on the other side, I'll share with you here in a little bit, some fitness equipment where the sand volleyball court is. Now, here's the 2D top view in the area. I want to share that when we were out there, shade is a good thing. We could spend a lot of money if we put a full shade structure on there. Mike and I met in the morning time and the afternoon to watch what the sun did. On the back side where the trees were coming was a lot of shade till probably about 10:45, 11-ish. And then we have 2 shades over top of the play unit itself. And that's a great high noon for the kids to continue to play. Where the sun, roughly 2:30, 3 o'clock, that's when the structure itself will have full sun at that point. And then here you can see the spinning, the spring riders. Let me see if I can point. See if this works for me. I'm just going to point it out. Does it work? No. There it is. No, it's not going to work. Sorry about that. We have to the right, in front of the swings, disc swings, we have a spring rider, the teeter-totter, the spinning seat, and then on the top, there's your top view of the playground space. And just here's another rendering without all the dots and everything, the colors that was picked. Also on the bottom area, I want to point out there's a transfer platform allowed for a child. It's designed for a child, if there is one in a mobility device, is able to transfer out. Not all, but most can move and navigate. It's not a full-on inclusive, but it is ADA approved. We do have, in the playground industry, we have what's called elevated play versus ground level play. So if a child is not able to be elevated, we have different play elements. It's harder to see on this that there's, I don't have my program with Mike. I can spin it, turn it upside down, and see everything. It's just, but there's, we have social play. There's a spot for them to sit, have lunch. There's another, if you have a child, there's a seat next to the slide that you can see. That's a really good spot for a child that may be overstimulated. Instead of moving them way away, we have found that if we could put them, put a spot inside the area where the other children are playing, and they're able to sit and just have that time to just kind of calm down a little bit. And it's got to be tight and cozy. Typically, that's a thing that works, and they're able to get back and play. There it is. And so we had a great design, a great space to reach the little kids up to 2 to 5, 5 to 12, something for all them to do. And then we have our friends that are 14, 15, and then adults. And we found if we can create a fitness in a park, a parent will bring a small child, and if it's close, they can work out and still monitor their child on the playground next to it. Also, how do we reach the teenagers? How do we get them off the video games? How do we get them from doing the things that they do, that we've all done, is give them something. And this is it's a compact system that has multiple different areas of exercise. I can walk through it really, really quick. You have the captain's chair on the far side. I'm going to go to the top right of on the top side of the screen, the 2D. It's a captain's chair. You can do the crunches, dips, the box jumps, moving around, the variable press, multiple, for your push-up chest presses, the bars are moved in different directions to work different areas of the muscle. You can all take a peek up here, and obviously I'm not out working out very much, so I can just tell you about it, right? And then moving around, you have the decline sit-up bench, and there's a medicine ball back, so you can do your sit-ups and throw the medicine ball. It's not something that the city would provide. Somebody that wants to do that, they bring it from home and that. And over the top, you can see there's the overhead ladder that moves. It's the rungs are at different angles, so it works different parts of your muscles as well. And so what we found is if the parent has something, they'll work out if they have something for the kids to do. If the kids are running around and tearing things up and not staying busy, they can't focus, and it's close enough. They're straight across from each other on a sidewalk. They're able to keep eye contact on their kids and have the opportunity to work out. A lot of teenagers as well. This is a compact unit, and that's 450 square feet. But Mr. Mike was saying, well, what if they want to do something else? Also, there's integrated shade above the system, if you can see, just to, again, to help with that Texas heat. Of course, some of our CrossFit folks like to be sweating. So the oversized, that area, right, the slab that goes underneath for the fitness equipment, it allows for someone to bring a yoga mat to stretch, and we'll move the fitness. It all has a workout envelope around it, and then there's space. The slab is larger for stretching, whatever might happen. So our receipts are like your Walgreens receipts. They're about that long when we do a quote, because we break down every little thing on there. So on the left-hand side is the top of the quote, and then if you could just imagine taking the right-hand side and put it underneath, and I can't see the number. I can't see the number that far. Hopefully the big numbers that I want to get at, I can see. So that's terrible. I can't see that far. Can I walk a little closer to this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the grand total of all the equipment, the playground equipment, the installation, the curbs, the surfacing, the shipping, or not the shipping's below, came to can say. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, thank you. So I'll break it down. All the equipment, the play equipment, the fitness equipment was 226, 4, 57, 47. And then Mike joined the course today. There was a state initiative funding applied of $51,993. There was shipping of $10,515.75 with a grand total of $184,979.63. The contracting on the right is the Crosswinds is the exclusive contractor for to install the equipment for all the extra sidewalks, the slab to be poured. The total came down to $7,413.75 with a grand total of $192,393.38. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. And if there's any questions, I can go back.
I have a question. Are you turnkey? You manage everything and do everything? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Also, once the equipment is installed, if there is any issues or anything, you're going to contact me. And within, if there's vandalism, it's one thing. If there's something that came loose or there's any issue, we're going to be within 48 hours. We'll have it fixed for your first year.
How long is the warranty period? How long is that?
So there's a 1-year labor warranty on the equipment. There's different layers of its limited life. So like your uprights there's its life. Your decks are 15 or 10 years. Your slides are 10-year warranty. This is not vandalism. This is if there's a defect, manufacturer defect. So different moving parts have different warranties. I have everything that I can present to Mike on exactly everything that you are purchasing and what that warranty is.
What kind of surface are you using?
So what was projected is the engineered wood fiber, which is the wood fiber. It is the most cost-effective surfacing, and also, just to be honest with everybody in the room, it has the best impact continuation than your poured-in-place surfacing or your turf surfacing. When they test it, the drop test, your engineered wood fiber, if it's properly maintained.
Yeah, I think you could still get on it even in bare feet.
Yes, you can.
Yes, sir. It's actually, it is. Your poured-in-place rubber, which we sell, and if that's the route you wanted to go, we could definitely do that for you. It is with the sun, it's hot. Yes, sir. It's very hot. The engineered wood fiber, I'm tender-footed, so I wouldn't walk out there barefooted, but it's not hot, scorching hot. It's just, you might get poked. And there's a little bit more maintenance with it. You have to make sure you're out there. Obviously, you understand it. It's currently in your parks that you have now.
What's the lifespan? Or typical of this equipment? Is it 40 years? Is it 15 years?
So a typical for a public park, actually what is currently in Homecoming Park now, I couldn't find exactly when it was, but it's our equipment, and I know it's very, very old. So I forgot to look in the archives to see, but a typical public park is, most parks have a 15 to 20 year rotation. Doesn't mean the equipment's bad, but that's their policy. We have some parks that are 25 years. We're in the Woodlands, all over the Woodlands. Their policy is typically 15 to 20 year rotation. City of Conroe, we're 90% in their parks. Changing
Is that
up.
just adding components, like new components, or is that adding a whole new?
So depending on what your policy is, I've seen many systems that are 25 plus years old and they're still fine. They may have to repair a slide or something, but the uprights, Fayetteville ISD, with them, their system is 28 years old. And their decks need to be repaired, and so we did an analysis of cost of replacing all the decks and some things they wanted to change versus all new. But the majority of the system itself they're still playing on and at a school that I think, it's not a huge district, but 400 or 500 kids possibly on, 9 months out of the year playing on that system
Did y'all
daily.
do also Cedar Break Park?
No, ma'am, that is not us at Cedar Break.
So $192,000 and say last 28 years, that's $6,800 a year. So, okay, I was just seeing what that would cost, what the cost is per year.
Yes, ma'am. There is, the standard surfacing maintenance, on the equipment itself, your swings, the standards you would have to, depending on the amount of volume of the swings, how long, that lasts because of the back and forth. There's a few things that there's maintenance, but the overall system itself is a long time.
You'll have a great reputation also.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Anything else? Thank you, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr.
So just to finish up with, the asking about Cedar Break. So what we're looking at right now is, next couple of weeks, Tim's gonna visit the park with me, look at what we can do to upgrade, because I know you particularly, you got a comment just the other day about upgrading Cedar Break. That's been the plan so far, is hopefully wow everyone this year with homecoming on a smaller scale. Next year hit Cedar Break. And it's possible we can fit it in with this same initiative funding. But he's gonna get some numbers for me to bring to budget talks, because that's right around the corner. Yeah, so we should have some good numbers for Cedar Break to have for this next year.
Is there a possibility for bigger amounts of grants too? When we look at Cedar Break Park, so this one we got 51,000, 52,000 in grants. Is there other places we can find grants
There are, yeah.
to take the lion's share of what that might?
Part of their class today was talking about what some of those other funding sources are, and that they can help us with that.
Absolutely, there's a lot of community partners, different cities do different things. Within the community, there's businesses that partner, there's family that want to name the park after their family. There's a lot of things you can do for funding.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So this was for presentation. We have a budget line item for it, but I would ask any of you, if you have any comments or questions over the next couple days, a week or whatever, reach out to me. I'd be happy to sit with you one-on-one, talk about it in detail. It's not too late to make some minor changes. We are if we want this funding, we need to go with this playground setup, but color changes, things like that, we can still make. Nothing's been ordered yet, but feel free to reach out to me if you've got any direct questions or comments. I'd be happy to sit down with you.
Great job.
Thank
you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Food crunch. Yeah, for sure. Number 8 on your agenda, presentation by Brad Keast of Kendrick Keast Collaborative on the Unified Development Ordinance UDO update. Hello.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Good evening. Pleased to be with you tonight. I'm here to provide you an update on where things stand. Just to give you assurance that we have been working all the way through. We have a near full draft of the Unified Development Ordinance. Of course, we're not able to finish it until we get some guidance and direction from yourselves or from staff. So I'll point those out. But we're probably within 4 to 6 weeks of having a complete draft in front of you, pending any input that is received here tonight, and then ongoing conversations with the city engineer and with staff and city manager. So we have delivered kind of modules 1 and 1.5. You can see all the articles there. That included all of the zoning districts. Those districts match the districts that you have today. So there are no changes in the districts, which would not require any changes to the zoning map necessarily. All the land uses, I'll show you an example of a new land use matrix that's updated and brought current. The site development and design, that's going to be your parking, landscaping, building design, site design, access, things of that nature. Floodplain, floodway development is stayed exactly the same as it is today. And then there's a section on measurements and word uses, basically definitions. Module 2 is, I'll talk about some guidance on historic preservation. And We've already did subdivision improvements. You guys adopted that several months ago. To my understanding, there's a few wording tweaks that your city engineer's working on, so we're just waiting on that so we can incorporate it into the UDO and then add all the cross-references and definitions and so forth to integrate it within. And then the last module is all the development review bodies, so yourself, commission, staff, so forth and so on, spelling out what the roles and responsibilities are, and then all the procedures that obviously align with all your state laws with public notice and public hearings and things of that nature. So that's where we are. Remaining, as I indicated, Chapter 78. Our work is done on that. We're just waiting to incorporate the comments from staff. We do maybe need a few comments and requests for revisions on modules 1 and 1.5 from staff. Module 2 we can deliver as soon as we get the information on the historic preservation subdivisions, and that's it. Module 3 is complete. At that point, we can have a complete public review draft, and then it'll all be together. And then once we get any final comments, revisions, edits, what have you, we'll put together the public hearing draft that'll come forward through adoption, consideration of adoption. So there's a few issues I wanted to bring to your attention tonight. Probably not going to finalize them tonight, but just give you a heads up about what we're looking at. Basically, the boundaries of downtown, just making sure that we're all on the same page about what those boundaries are. I'll show you an example of that. The historic preservation design standards, those that are within downtown versus those that are within the neighborhood district. Subdivision regulation, nothing outstanding there. And then, obviously, ultimately, the status and authorization to finalize it. So as I indicated, your zoning districts, through work with your city manager, we have kept them consistent with your current districts, and that is because it syncs up with your comprehensive plan. So there is information in your comprehensive plan about adding new districts and mixed use and things of that nature. We have not gone there. If you were to do that, that would probably require some form of update to your comprehensive plan, a land use plan, and then you can make those within the zoning ordinance and districts. The reason being is Texas says if you have zoning, it must be in accordance with the comprehensive plan, right? So should you ever be challenged, you want that comprehensive plan to be consistent with it, so you have a basis for making these zoning decisions. So all of your districts are the same. Planning precedents, you have language today in your development handbook. And I'm going to talk to you about this, but it says if there's any lots that are less than your 9,000 square feet, that there would be compensating open space at a required 1-to-1 ratio. So in other words, if somebody does 8,000 square feet, they can make up the difference in open space. So I'll show you some examples of that here in a moment. The comprehensive plan, it talks about there's high density zoning or density bonuses to require encourage developers to include more units. Usually that's offset by amenities or open space or park or something like that. Again, I'll talk to you about that. And then mixed use zoning allows for a variety of land uses within one area. Obviously, you've been handling that with planned development today. We'll talk to you about that with the R2 district as well. And then below are the residential development goals that are in your comprehensive plan. Preservation of ecology, maintain green space, natural drainage, multiple styles of housing, mix of high and low density lots, and then provide a variation of single family housing types, different sizes, different floor plates, different needs of the community. And out to the right are some of the actions or the recommendations that come directly out of your comprehensive plan, so those sync up with what I've written here. One of the things I note is it says to amend the zoning regulations to add civic, open space, and other new land use categories. Keep that in mind. Then there's some additional talking about create and add conservation overlay district to the city zoning map in areas located within floodplain, wetland. Again, keep that in mind. And then lastly, allow for mixed use housing. So we'll talk about those here in just a moment. So this is what we're talking about, that compensating open space that you have in your development handbook. Right now you have a 9,000 square foot lot. There's no required open space with that. Of course, a lot of your developers are providing parks and so forth. But if they provide a park and all the lots are 9,000 square feet, they're losing lots, right? So what happens? Lot cost may have to inch up a little bit to cover the lost ground. So an alternative that I want to show you is if they were to provide an 8,000 square foot lot and have 10% open space, that 10% open space could be used for parks, for greenways, for trails, for buffers adjacent to, other neighborhoods or commercial developments or what have you. They would get the same exact number of lots. Now, they wouldn't be able to get 8,000 square foot lots, 1,000 square foot smaller with no open space, right? This would require that they have to have 10% open space. Your national parks and recreation standards, to meet the national standards for park space, it's about 1 acre of parkland for about 60 dwelling units. This would deliver 1 acre of parkland for about 40 dwelling units. So you would be able to, recover if there are any deficiencies in your overall citywide parkland, and make sure that as development is coming in and there's additional demand for usage, that you're meeting that demand. And in the same way, you could also go down to 7,500 square feet, and what that would do would be to give them a little bonus. So in other words, saying, providing open space, we're asking you to do something, we're going to give you something in return. And so that would give them about from 4.15 units per acre to 4.45. So about 0.3 units as a density bonus. Again, this is mentioned in your comprehensive plan, so we're carrying that through. So I'm just going to want some direction from you if you're okay with the 8,000 square foot and 10% open space, no change in density. Of course, anybody can still develop 9,000 square foot lots, but the reason for giving a density bonus is to encourage them, right? Saying we're willing to go to 8,000 square foot lot. To the naked eye, nobody can tell the difference between an 8,000 and 9,000 square foot lot. But where it comes in is being able to get that 10% open space, so we can have, esplanades or increased green space along a major arterial or a greenway or riparian area along a creek or stream, or to preserve existing mature vegetation. That's how that open space would be used. We also, what you're doing today basically, we have for your 1 and 10 acre lots. You don't have districts for large lots, so those would be basically 9,000 square foot lot, anything larger than that is permitted with in that district. What we're doing here is we're saying if somebody's sitting on 10 acre lots, or even 1 acre lot, and there's 9,000 square foot directly abutting them, we're providing for some transition standards. So if I'm sitting on a 10 acre lot and there's a subdivision proposal in my backyard that's going to be 9,000 square feet, I may not be too happy sharing the property line with them, property values and density and so forth. So we're providing transition standards between all your districts, and I'll talk through. So we're increased rear setbacks. We're saying a minimum lot area of no less than 70% of the adjacent. So those lots that are directly adjacent to the larger lots would need to be at least 70% of those lots. So we don't have such a dramatic or significant change in lot sizes. Again, to protect the interests of large property ownership. We obviously have a lot of that around here. And then there's a required buffer yard. So can you back up a couple slides to that? There you go. Yeah, so this is an example just showing you, if you have resources, you have tree lines and stuff, and you have 9,000 square foot lots, it's all privatized, it's all on private lots, and it's hard to protect any of that probably because now it's all privately owned. Whereas if you do smaller lots, then you can have area that could be a buffer adjacent to, property that's developing next to it. If there's any creek or stream or floodplain or drainage, you can have some green space along that. Could be a trail or greenway, so forth. So there's a lot of advantages to doing that. Next slide. So just an example here in town. You've got very large lots, and you've got small lots that directly adjoining them. You've got natural buffer or barrier with existing vegetation, but there are portions of that where there is no visual separation or buffering. So that's where buffer yard standard would come in to make sure that there is some sort of protection or screening between very large lots, acreage lots, and small lots. Okay. Every district has a table like this, so it will point people, if you're reading the R1 district single family, will tell you where there are other sections that are applicable. So where the landscaping are, where there's design standards, where the sign standards are, and all of those references are hyperlinked. So you'll be able to click on those and jump right to those other sections. So for your common users, that'll be very handy for them to know, okay, I know that I have to go here to see building design and so forth. Thanks. Your multifamily residential, one part of your current ordinance says it's for duplexes and townhomes. Another part mentions apartments. So I don't know whether, you know, what the difference is. So there's kind of a conflict in your current. The way we're handling this is this would provide for, you know, duplex. A twin home is basically the same as a duplex, but it has a property line down the middle. So not two homes on one lot, but two homes on two lots, but attached. A townhome, a row house, and then an apartment. I'll talk to you in a second about apartments. The same 9,000 square foot per lot. We've got standards in there for accessory buildings such as garages and outbuildings and stuff like that. And then transition standards. So if an R2 district is directly abutting a single family district, they would have to have a maximum of a 2-story within 50 feet of an R1 boundary. I believe this district allows for 45 feet rather than 35 feet. Or they can have, the third story could be stepped back 15 foot. So it's for privacy reasons, right? So you don't have people looking in other people's backyards. So the third story would step back. And then there's compatibility measures such as landscaping, buffering requirements. Your current ordinance just says provide a visual screen, but it doesn't say what a visual screen is. Our ordinance will say exactly how wide that is, how many trees, what types of trees, so it's very clear. A privacy fence or wall, or orientation of windows and balconies to make sure that we're not encroaching on somebody's privacy in adjacent yards. And so all these things are in a table that you see on the right. Next. Multifamily. So state law, as of a few years ago, outside of downtown, just prohibits us from determining what types of building materials that are required. So we approached it from a lot of different angles, right? So we're requiring varied architectural designs with varied roof lines and facade treatments where we have jut outs or jut ins, window configuration with balcony stairs, and things to create visual interest so we don't just get square boxes and opposite housing, right? So they're more attractive, more durable, and have more elements that are more like what you would see in single family or even attached housing. And then also controlling building massing, just the sheer size of the building. Okay, next. So multifamily residential design. So we're saying that in the R2, they can have a building up to 16 units. Anything more than that, they'd have to come to you to get a special use permit. Same way with building length. It could be a maximum of 120 feet, but anything over that, they'd have to get a special use permit. If they have up to 100 units, and I don't know whether 100 units is the magic number or not, but up to 100 units, they can get approved in R2, but anything over that, they'd have to come to council to get a special use permit. So this gives you a little bit more control over apartment buildings, their design, and we're saying that they can be no more than 30% of the total number of units in a development. So you won't get massive sprawling apartment complexes with hundreds and hundreds of units. And we also require that the buildings are different sizes and shapes and things like that, so you don't just get cookie cutter, huge apartment complexes. So we get some quality. And you see the bottom image there. We're looking for different materials, different colors. Again, horizontal and vertical articulation, so you're not just getting flat wall surfaces and square buildings. Next. Just an example of what buildings could look like when you have different materials. Again, we can't mandate that they have brick, but what we've done is we've said, well, you have to reach a certain number of points, and if you provide masonry or something, you get an increase of 15 points. If you want to provide stucco or something of that nature, you get negative 5 points. So they can have flexibility to determine what fits their project, but they're going to have to meet a certain standard. And the idea is that many will probably choose at least some quality materials, durable materials, masonry, stone, whatever that might be, to meet that standard. But trying to remain flexible. So we're not dictating exactly what they have to do, but telling them you figure out what fits your project and your budget. Next. In downtown, First of all, there's the boundary there. It's not so awful different from your boundary now. So we'll want to just verify that that, in fact, is the boundary. The difference here is that we followed your comp plan, we followed your design guidelines in terms of what they said you want for downtown. The different colored lines are the different street types, and those street types allude to the setbacks. So your blue street, basically, we want the buildings brought up to the street, right? And we want, I'll show you here in a second. This really isn't going to affect anybody that exists there today, right? If somebody were to redevelop or rebuild or something of that nature, then they would need to basically meet the standards that meet what you have in downtown today. We're trying to preserve that historic character of building types in downtown and the historic nature of those. So next slide. So the planning precedents. So your plans say to preserve the architectural style, the building form, basically shape, how big, how tall, scale, materials, colors, details, treatments, buildings. So that's the precedent that we have, that your plan is telling us that they should remain in the architectural style, the 1830 to 1941. And then there's a whole laundry list of things like architectural detail and awnings and colors and fences and things like that. So we have drafted regulations for each of those. And those regulations, again, basically keep what you have today. You'll see some images here that you'll recognize. Next. So we have graphics in there that kind of show, okay, how do these things apply? And we want buildings brought near the street, or at least even with the other ones that are there. And so we have building setbacks mainly on the front or on a street side, not as much on an interior side lot between two properties. So we want to maintain that pedestrian feel and that streetscape character of those buildings. Next slide. And then historic district standards, again, taking a page out of your comp plan. We've got stuff in there about materials that need to basically reflect the historic precedents. Any franchises have to maintain the traditional Main Street design so that we don't have a, whatever type of use comes in there. It's a franchise that would disrupt that historic character. We've got facade colors in there, roofs, roof types, basically, so we don't just get flat roof types, but we have modulation of the roof edge, and then again windows and shading. These all come directly from the guidance that are in your design guidelines and your plan. Next slide. And so this is some of the drawings that we have included in there. Obviously, you've got a lot of awnings and canopies and arcades and things like that now. So these are the types of things that we're trying to continue in downtown. Like I said, there's not much that's going to affect people that are there now, but this UDO should probably last 20, 25 years. And so as things happen over the course of time, you'll have standards to help maintain the uniqueness and part of what Montgomery is recognized for. It's downtown. Next. Your commercial districts, basically they're the same as what you have now, so we just carried all that through in terms of your setbacks and things like that. Then we have commercial to residential transition standards. So whenever a commercial district abuts, say a single family district, how do we protect the abutting single family? So again, we have height adjacent needs maintained 2 stories, or to have a 15-foot setback. There's privacy measures, parking and drive aisle placement, accessory uses and structures are prohibited within a certain distance, noise, and then residential design compatible design. So basically looking for pitched roads and things like that that will play well with the neighborhood and not be just an abrupt shift, so that if you're on that lot that backs up to it or maybe to the side of it, that there will be some transition standards there. Next. And then this is an example of the table that we have where I mentioned earlier where there's, we're not dictating exactly what you have to have, but we're saying here's a bottom illustration of the types of things that we're looking for, again, so we don't just get square boxes, right? So we have transparency, i.e. windows on the first and second floor. We have, jut outs or jut ins, recessions, canopies, awnings, things like that to help break up the building facade. And then we have a bunch of options and alternatives or flexible standards where they can meet a certain number of points based upon what fits their project. Next. And just kind of a continuation of that, just kind of showing, you know, how those would be applied to different environments. Next slide. And again, this is just kind of showing, not necessarily, don't look at the building design per se, but it's just kind of the building elements that we look for to apply. So again, we get interesting buildings with some design that reflect positively on the community's character and apply those to new buildings. Next. Institutional effectively is the same as what you have today. We haven't made too many adjustments other than the building standards that we just looked at. Next slide. And industrial, you just have one industrial district, which can cover a lot of different building types, as you can imagine. You've got a very large area that's shown for industrial. We have created some standards. We've kind of kept your minimum lot areas and things like that. You click on the next slide. We've created some standards where if they're next to residential, it'd be high sensitivity, institutionally moderate, and then in commercial or other industrial will be low sensitivity. And then we've got some different setbacks. So if they're industrial next to residential, obviously the greatest differentiation. We want greater separation, and we want different buildings around the perimeter. So it might be more office, administrative functions, research and development, things like that. Not your most intensive industrial development with outdoor storage and, you know, outdoor activity. That would be more on the interior of an industrial park. So again, trying to be sensitive to the appearance from the roadways, and if they happen to butt a neighborhood or something else, what those standards can be. Next. This is on the left is your permitted use table. It's very, very dated. There's uses that are a little comical. On the right is the example of what the new table is. Every single use, you can hover over it, it has a definition, so somebody knows exactly what that use means. That'll help your staff. And then all the districts, it tells you whether or not that use is permitted or whether they require a special use permit. And then there's hyperlinks that says, you know, here's other standards that apply to that type of use. So it's just organized better. We also have a section that is use categories. We don't list every possible use that you can dream of, right? So we have like a use category to say, here are similar types of uses. So if somebody comes in with an oddball, you can kind of look at that without having a use matrix that goes on for 10 pages. Next. Limited uses, this is something new. So those uses that are kind of between just outright permitted and what you have is your special use, these are uses that sometimes have concern, and so they have certain standards that they'd have to meet. So they'd have to demonstrate that to staff, that they're meeting these standards to make sure that they fit well in within their environment. And if there's any disagreement, they can always advance it to the council to get guidance. But it's things like event venues, microbreweries, self-storage, veterinary services where you could have, you know, outdoor dog runs or things of that nature. So maybe not rise to the point of needing a special use permit, but we certainly want to have some standards to make sure that they fit well within their neighborhood.
How do you define event venue?
We've got a definition in there, so basically, I would guess that it's going to be, you know, public assembly facilities, which could be like your public building. It could be a wedding venue or a, you know, a reception venue. I have to look at the actual definition, but every single one of those have a definition, and we can certainly look at those.
We just have had questions about that. There's
Yeah.
an older home in town that wanted to be leased out for events, but yeah, is during the day is offices.
Yeah.
And, okay, there was an argument about what that actually is.
When I was a planner for a city, there's a bed and breakfast, which they got approval for, but then they wanted to start catering for weddings and so forth, and it kind of elevated all the vans movement and all that type of stuff, and so those are the types of things. If there's things like that you have history with, let us know so we can help you address them. Of course, we're always available to help you as things come up. We can help you, you know, tighten some of those things up if need be. Next. Special uses you're familiar with, these are land uses that are not just permitted outright, but they have to have special approval by you with input from your commission recommendations. So this could be things like, bed and breakfast or auto storage, auto repair, more intensive uses that sometimes have more impacts on their adjoining uses, either visually or by noise or something else. So that pretty much is carried through from what you're doing today procedurally too. Next slide. Parking mobility. This is more contemporary. Basically, all the different uses that are in the use matrix have parking requirements. And right now, they're minimum parking requirements, but they may be based on number of employees, or whether you have assembly facilities, or whether you have, whatever, hotel rooms, bedrooms, and apartments, things like that. So it's a lot more explicit. One of the questions I have there is some communities now are setting a maximum parking ratio. So your big boxes aren't overparked, right? So for everything but maybe around the holidays, there's expanses of concrete that are never utilized, and it just creates a lot of heat and a lot of stormwater runoff. So communities all across the country now are starting to say, we're going to set a maximum so that we don't get all this extra pavement that just creates stormwater and all the issues with that. So that could be something that we do as well. Next slide, please. Landscaping buffering, we have in places that street trees are required, trees around the perimeter properties, foundation plantings right up next to the foundation, parking lot with islands within the middle of parking lots, where you have to have trees within each of those, and then there's site landscaping and buffer yards. Buffer yards is if a neighborhood is next to a commercial area, it has to be a buffer yard, and again that tells you it can be 10 feet or 15 feet or 20 feet, and then it tells you how many trees, how many shrubs, whether or not a fence is required, things like that. So again, it's flexible. It doesn't say you have to do this, but it gives them, if they have room on the property for a wider buffer yard, they could put fewer trees and shrubs. Next. Just continuing on with lot perimeter, again, they're interior landscaping islands within parking lots. So we're looking to screen around the edge of them. So when you're driving down the street, you don't have headlight glare out into the street, and screening the buffers and screening the parking lot against streets and adjoining properties. And these are the buffer yards. Again, we have a range of different buffer yard types. We have some that are natural, we have some that are structural. So if somebody doesn't want to build a fence or a wall, they can just do extra landscaping. So we don't want to be a city of fences, right? So we're giving different ways you can go about meeting the buffer yard requirements without everybody being the same. And it basically just says, an A buffer yard is going to be limited, a C buffer yard along industrial is going to be more extensive. Next. And then just kind of looking at what the site plan could look like with a buffer yard on a rear side property line and foundation against the street. So that's probably over the top in terms of number of trees. It's probably not fair.
How can we avoid, because this city is very hilly, and in the past, some of these buffer zones, they weren't thought out very well, and there's a great drop between one side of the buffer zone and the next.
Yeah.
And it's creating the flooding issues that a lot of these people have. So what is the cure for that? When we have buffer zones where the elevation of the property is significant.
Yeah.
And so the runoff is going to go to the lower side.
Yeah, obviously they're going to have all the site engineering to address stormwater. Where there's a significant change in elevation between two sites where the buffer may not even be effective, right, where you can see right over the top of it, we have provisions in there where, if that's the case, we alter the buffer yard. So if it's either way, you're looking up or you're looking down, we have alternatives in those situations where there's significant elevation changes. But I think the key point is regarding drainage, everything's going to have to go through your city engineer and meet all your drainage criteria to make sure that we don't have off-site runoff. Okay. And then this was what you already adopted months ago, your subdivision regulations with sidewalks, subdivision walls and fences to make sure that our corridors don't have, you know, wood fences, chain link fences, no fences, inside out, right side up, stained, not stained, so we have consistent subdivision fencing along the roadways. Again, you already adopted that. Next. And you already adopted these two with just links of cul-de-sacs and stuff to make sure that we're safe in terms of if there's any flooding conditions, people can get in and out, and just making continuity of roadways so you can move from neighborhood to neighborhood without having to go back out on the arterial for every single trip. Next. And again, we talked about that. We're just waiting for final comments, and then we will integrate them within the overall Unified Development Ordinance and submit it. And then there's all the procedures. So this is an example of a table. This will tell somebody, I'm coming to the city and I want to do X, Y, Z, and they'll say, okay, this city department's going to look at it, this body's going to approve it, or this body's going to recommend it, whether or not it requires public notice, things of that nature. So kind of look at one table and see what the procedures are, and then those are all written out for each of your different procedures, whether it's for plating or site plan or rezoning or whatever that process is.
Brent, have you already accepted or approved that flow process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's next slide. And then nonconformities, I think it pretty much matches what you're doing now. So if there's uses that are nonconforming, that can't change to something that's more intensive than that use, they can change to something that is equal or lesser than that use. Same way with structures, you can't increase the extent of nonconformity. So if you got a structure that doesn't conform, they can't add on to that structure, do anything that's going to create more impact. Same thing goes for lots and signs. So there's no, same thing you have now. So if it's destroyed less than 50% by wind or fire, they can rebuild. If it's greater than that, they can't if it's a non-conforming structure. So it's consistent with what you have now. It's just got more explicit detail. And final.
I have sometimes a really bad retention. I would like to be able to get a copy of this to all the council.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question. So if somebody wants to come here and build, is this going to be provided to them at the front office in a hard copy so they understand the workflow process, because that's been a challenge in the past? Or is it we direct them to the website to pull this down?
Both. It can be both.
Good.
I mean, the process is this long now.
Right, yeah, the
But
workflow
this
process
is,
needs to be.
yeah, this is a much cleaner, quicker method. So that was the intention.
Straightforward.
We have been working with Chris and kind of, you know, does this work, and so we're still giving comments back a little bit on that, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a much cleaner process for sure.
It's going to be fully web-based and online, so anybody can go in and navigate through it. There'll be hyperlinks and pop-up definitions and things like that. So there's a lot of tools that we can do to help people navigate the information they're looking for most readily.
When will council get a copy of this?
Of the presentation?
Yeah, I can email it by tomorrow.
We already have it.
And so from this presentation to final with the town hall and the feedback, and we're accepting, I think you said 4 to 6 full draft in front of us, so 4 to 6 weeks, so that's putting us, say, at the end of May, 1st of June. Then what's the rest of that workflow look like? Because we've been waiting a long time, so we don't want to wait till the end of the year.
Yes, no, absolutely not. Well, it's just going to be by state law in terms of your notification procedures before public hearing. So we have to have a public hearing before the commission and for the council. If you wanted to, there's provision in state law, you can do a joint, so you can consolidate those and take less time.
Sure.
So that would be an option for you. So I think we have to notify 10 or 15, probably 15 days before.
So beyond this 4, say just even the worst case scenario, 6 weeks, and then there's that 30-day notice or whatever that is. So we could possibly have it by July? if we worked expedient.
Pending we get through all the comments and changes and so forth with staff.
Yeah, and I mean, he made this, I should have sent this out to you, but we didn't get to it till kind of last minute, getting it all together. But really what you need to see is more of the final product. When you can really look through it, it's way more detailed than this. I know you don't have enough time to read it all, but you need to see what the finished product looks like so you can, but this was your opportunity to kind of get where we've tightened this up and then, you know, what we're looking at.
So
But
back
I
to my
believe
original
we're very
question,
close
maybe
now.
3 months, just because we've been waiting, and
Yes.
with the development coming, I mean,
It's here.
you can't make the ones that are gonna be coming later this year, you can make them adhere to this, but the ones that are already here, we can't grandfather them in. So again, while people are knocking on our door to come here, that was the whole point of doing this, to get it in front of all of that.
Yeah, we're a few years late.
100%, but now we're working here.
But, and some of this is applicable because, you know, they're always coming back for special permits and different things that they want to adjust based on their development. This will give it a little clarity, so they can go online and look at that, and they're like, they can come back to us and say, oh, well, can we do this, can we do this? And then we can, you know, so it's not a battle, and just bring that to council and you're good, let's go.
So perceivably 3 months? I think we're just looking, I know I'm looking for milestones and I'm looking for dates, and that way we can.
Yeah, it's just getting
success.
final comments from staff, and we'll get the editing done and all the formatting done and get it to you. But we're ready to deliver the procedure,
Right.
so we'll get that to you
It's all Zach, you know.
pronto.
Zach does everything, Zach's super good. Okay, I'm just gonna write on my notes 3 months, just for a target.
I think it's doable. I think it took us a minute just recently to really get here, but I think with Zach and our work that we've been doing, I think we're close. And Tilly.
And we have the capability on our website to make this robust so that they can have hyperlinks and go and dig down and look more specific for details.
That's gonna be in the code of ordinances.
It'll be added to your online code that you already have.
Okay, but we have those capabilities, and we're not gonna have to bolt on anything or wait for that?
So if you actually scroll through our ordinances now through our
Yeah.
code, you can,
Right.
there's hyperlinks in it.
Okay.
So we're really talking about that it all be approved.
That's what I was gonna say,
July.
we have the whole red packet, big package with the red bow on it in 3 months. Everything will be live, everything will be ready.
That might be a stretch on the, everything will be live, but
Give it to August the 1st.
we can get it approved.
It'll be the 30 days, 60, 90 days will be up.
Sorry, I mean,
I think we can complete this with him.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
And then we can-
we have a brand new website. We were looking at it today and she's been working really hard on that. So yeah, getting it all tied together. But Encode Plus is really where that is. And there's also some stuff we're working on with Tilly, you know, to get the applications for some of these.
so make
you know,
sure we have
that-
those capabilities, and we're not gonna have to go rebuild a whole website to
It can
get those
pay online.
capabilities. And now we're 3 years down the road again.
We've built it in the software. It's ready to just hand the URL to you and you're ready to go. So the second that you adopt it, it can be online.
Right. I hear you.
I'm looking for July 28th.
He said in his presentation, he's waiting to hear from engineering. I don't know what he needs to hear from engineering, so.
Well, there's just a little more cleanup. We wanted to see if you guys had any comments. That was the purpose of this. I know this has been a long process, so you forget everything that's been going on. We really tightened up this entire project, if you will, with the engineers, of course. There's still some little touches that we need to do to make sure this is correct.
Let's come a long way from the last time we saw it, a year and a half ago, so thank you for that. But yeah, so, and I know that we've got some business owners that are interested in looking at this. I don't think it's ready to be there yet, or I know that we're gonna have, what, at least 2 public hearings about it, correct?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Just making sure, because I've got people to answer to. Thanks.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Item number 9, consideration of possible action on the city council workshop meeting minutes of April 6th, 2026. Number 10, consideration of possible action on the city council meeting minutes of April 14th, 2026. Number 11, consideration of possible action on the quarterly investment report for Q1 2026. Number 12, consideration of possible action of resolution of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Montgomery County, Texas, appointing members to the Montgomery Planning and Zoning Commission. And number 13, consideration of possible action on calling a public hearing on a rezoning request related to 3.252 acres of Corner John, Tract 57-D, Ward Investments 01, Res A file number 2007006-890, currently zoned PD, plan development, to be rezoned I institutional as submitted by Squared Engineering. Council, you can take these individually or cumulatively. What is your desire?
Cumulatively.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda cumulatively.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson that we accept a consent agenda cumulatively, seconded by Ms. Langley. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for further discussion. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and we'll accept the consent agenda as presented. Public hearing. The City Council will receive comments from the public on the below listed item. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Persons wishing to speak during the public hearing portion of the meeting must sign in to participate prior to the meeting being called to order. Number 14 on your agenda. Convene in a public hearing on request for a special use permit to establish a new financial advising office at 15325 Summit Park Drive, Suite 107. It is 7:15 and we are in a public hearing. No one signed up to speak, so it is 7:15 and we will close this public hearing. Number 15 on your agenda, convene into public hearing on the final report for rezoning request submitted by SPT Montgomery LLC, development number 2215, related to 5.7 acres of a western portion of Rigsby Ben J, tract 46H-3, and all of Rigsby Ben J, tract 39, that is currently zoned B commercial to be rezoned I institutional. It is 7:16. We are in public hearing. No one has asked to speak, correct, Ms. Bevan? Okay, it is 7:16. We will close the public hearing. Number 16 on your agenda. Convene into public hearing on the final report for a rezoning request submitted by Cornerstone Community Church of Montgomery, development number 2510, related to 2 tracts located within tract 11 and 12, John Corner Survey. Abstract 8 that is currently zoned R1 single family residential to be rezoned I institutional. It is 7:16. We are in the public hearing. It is 7:16. No one is here for the public hearing. We have closed that public hearing. Regular agenda, item number 17 on your agenda, consideration of possible action regarding request for a special use permit by Kingsview Wealth Management LLC to establish a new financial advising office at 15325 Summit Park Drive, Suite 107. Ms. Tilley.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So if you recall, last council hearing, there were a couple of special use permits also within the industrial zoning district on Summit Park Drive. This is the third in the same building at 15325 Summit Park Drive, and this is Suite 107. Last council, it was a coffee shop and a nail salon. This will be in between those 2 suites. And I think there's a vacant space also in that suite. So the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this. They looked at the comprehensive plan, how it could fit into the industrial zoning district. Again, the reason why this is a special use permit is that the use as an office related use is first permitted in a B commercial zoning district. It is not listed in the table of uses as a permitted use in the I industrial zoning district. So the special use permit was taken into consideration. They thought that the office use as a financial advising office can fit because it could help with the industrial businesses, their employees, guiding them through financial, questions and that kind of thing. They're only open between 8:30 and 5:30. Their typical office hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., but they allotted 30 minutes at the beginning and 30 minutes at the end to be open. But otherwise, if you have any specific conditions that you would like to add to the conditions that the Planning and Zoning Commission had already recommended, we can also look at that, or if you want to modify any of the conditions that they had for the special use permit. But if you have any questions specific to that use, everyone recalls the location where this apartment building is located. Yes, ma'am.
Motion.
So I make a motion to approve. I'm sorry, was that your turn?
No, you go.
I'll make a motion to approve the regarding request for a special permit for the wealth management at 325 Summit Park.
It has been moved by Mr. Glazier that we accept the request for a special use permit for Kingsview Wealth Management at 15325 Summit Park Drive, Suite 107. It is seconded by Mr. Donaldson. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting the special use permit for Kingsview Wealth Management LLC at Summit Park, 15325 Summit Park Drive, Suite 107, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and we have approved the special use permit for Kingsview Wealth Management LLC at 15325 Summit Park Drive, Suite 107. So, Ms. Fox pointed out on the consent agenda, consideration of possible action of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Montgomery County, Texas, appointing members to the Montgomery Planning and Zoning Commission. Being that we approved it on the consent agenda, do we need to do that individually, or the consent agenda was approved as a whole? Yeah. So, what were you liking to do?
So I think we were appointing them, so I just wondered if we need.
You're just approving the appointment for.
Both the candidates have been approved.
Yeah.
Just curious. Thank you.
And thank y'all for being here tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, number 18 on your agenda. Consideration and possible action of an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, amending the zoning classifications as defined in the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, zoning, for the 5.7 acres of a western portion of Rigsby Ben J Tract 46H-3 and all of Rigsby Ben J Tract 39, Montgomery, Texas, from B, Commercial Zoning District as found on the city's official zoning map, to I, Industrial Zoning District classification, and to amend the official zoning map, providing a savings clause, providing a repealing clause, and providing an effective date upon passage and publication. Hello, Zach.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So today in front of y'all have a rezoning application for the Superior Properties development that's going on along Lone Star Parkway, adjacent to 149. Enclosed on page 99, you'll see the proposed site plan for what's being rezoned as institutional. The developer, Superior Properties, has found a potential buyer for that middle commercial tract to be a church. And so this is essentially getting ahead of the platting and design for said development so that we can review it consistently against all institutional requirements. So making sure that there are setbacks, visual barriers, and required zoning and buffer zones for that institutional tract. Again, this is just the rezoning application. The final plat will still be in front of y'all for approval at a later date that we're currently going through reviews with the developer. So if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask.
I make a motion we accept agenda item number 18 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson that we accept item number 18 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Fox. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for further discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 18 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll accept number 18 as presented. 19 on your agenda, consideration and possible action of an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, amending the zoning classifications as defined in the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, zoning for 1 acre tracts 11 and 12, John Corner Survey, Abstract 8, Montgomery, Texas, from R1 and Residential Zoning District as found in the city's official zoning map to I Institutional Zoning District classification and to amend the official zoning map, providing a savings clause, providing a repealing clause, and providing an effective date upon passage and publication.
Good evening again. So very similarly, rezoning application for the Cornerstone Church that is located on 149. If you turn to page 113 of your packets, you'll see the proposed or existing zoning, and then the following page being the proposed. Again, this is just to paper up any future development that is going on with the church. This is separate from any submittals that they will be doing for plating and civil plans, where we're going to review drainage, setbacks, lighting, etc., based on what's being proposed by the developer. As of today, we've only received confirmation that they're looking to extend the building. Outside of that, we have not received any confirmation as to what their full package of civil plans would include. But once we do have that confirmation on what the scope is, we would be reviewing for consistency and compliance with your design criteria manual and all required state and federal regulations.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, when they purchased the church, there are ordinances in place. People at City Hall at the time did not enforce those. With this rezoning and marrying of these two lots, is there a way now that we can get it enforced on the first piece that they purchased, or how can we do that?
So as far as rectifying kind of what was done previously, we would be looking at existing conditions and making sure that those conditions work for what's being proposed in the future. Again, it's kind of hard to determine what was outside of hearsay and outside of providing actual documentation as to what was done on the site. It's hard for us to
look at it and see nothing was done.
Correct, but in terms of what was submitted for review and then actually constructed, there is not a lot that we can do in terms of that. But again, looking at existing conditions based on what's submitted to us, we can make sure that drainage works, lighting works for all abutting and adjacent properties to make sure that, again, they're in compliance moving forward with all ordinances and design.
I think there was some sound barrier too, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Cooper, and he was affected. Okay, great.
I make a motion, we accept agenda item number 19 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson that we accept item number 19 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Langley. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for further discussion. All those in favor of accepting item 19 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. And we will accept item number 19 as presented. 20 on your agenda, consideration of possible action regarding authorizing a utility easement with Alan Mann.
Good evening again. So this item in front of y'all is related to the Lift Station 5 relocation project. So I'd like to direct your attention to page 120 of your packet. You'll see kind of an overlay of what's existing out there today and what's being proposed with the Lift Station 5 relocation. On the bottom portion of that exhibit, you'll see kind of a red box that shows the boundaries of that utility easement. That utility easement allows city staff and public works to, in the future, if any repairs are needed for that sanitary sewer line, to make those repairs on private property. The reason this is being requested is because we're trying to get ahead of TxDOT State Highway 105 widening. There is right-of-way acquisition in this area, and currently the existing sanitary sewer lines lie in public right-of-way. So with the papering of this easement, in the event that TxDOT comes back in the future and says, hey, we want to widen it even more, we have protection for funding of those replacements and repairs. This easement has been signed by the property owner. He's reviewed and has no issue with it, so now it's just up for council action on execution.
Very good.
I make a motion to approve as listed.
A motion by Mr. Glazer that we accept item number 20 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Fox. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 20 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll accept item number 20 as presented. 21 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action by council on the preliminary plat for Caroline Court, formerly known as Villages of Montgomery, Dev number 2502.
Good evening again. So in front of y'all today is a preliminary plat for the Caroline Court development, formerly known as Villages of Montgomery. This is the development that's going on right across the street with frontage on 105 being commercial and then on the back portion being residential. Just to kind of summarize the development and preliminary plat in front of y'all, the development has approved variances with their development agreement outlining front yard setbacks, side yard setbacks, lot width, size, and depth. And then most recently on February 24th and 26th, they received another variance request and approval from P&Z and council for no required tree assessment being submitted with their preliminary plat. And so essentially what that means is instead of doing the tree assessment with their preliminary plat, they're being regulated against the previous landscaping ordinances, which require 20% gross canopy and 10% gross landscaping for the entire development. So that is reflected on their preliminary plat. Again, you would have an opportunity to review this with their subdivision plans as well as their final plat. That'll be in front of y'all at a later date. This is just continuing and allowing them to solidify their conceptual plan and move forward with their design and platting.
So you're saying they're grandfathered in on the previous landscaping, should we change it?
Because of the variance request approved, yes, they would be regulated against not the current landscaping ordinance, but the one previous.
Okay, but if they make any significant changes, would that negate that? And then we can move forward in today's?
Depending on how the changes were reflected, again, if they're proposing less than, and in this instance, I don't see how the changes would be allowed. If they're proposing less than the 20% landscape or canopy, that would be not adhering to the variance. If they're proposing more than 20% landscaping and canopy, that would obviously be a benefit to the city.
Right, we would be celebrating.
Correct. So,
right, and the main thing with the variance was they were required with the interim ordinances that are in place to do a tree survey up front. If you know that property, there's a lot of trees. I think the quote came back as a $100,000 survey, which doesn't necessarily change their development plans. And so that was the reason for the request. So they're still meeting and planting and providing the green spaces. They're just not doing what the internal ordinance says is that the individual tree survey that says this is the size and type of every tree on the property over 6 inches.
So what I'm hearing before all of our houses burn down is when people start seeing trees be removed is they're gonna instead of spending $100,000 to see which ones can be salvaged, they're gonna go ahead not spend that money and then come back and do that 20% canopy and 10% landscape.
correct. In addition to that, they are also protecting some of the existing trees.
Okay, so there is going to be some protection.
Yes, and that will be outlined on the final plat as well as the plans that kind of outline the landscaping and tree reserves throughout the subdivision.
And this was before I was here, so, but these lots were approved, I'm assuming, for smaller lots?
Correct.
We learned earlier?
Correct. So what they're proposing is more townhome style. I believe the product that they were quoting was upwards of 400,000. So these are what they're quoting good products, as well as with their development. They're required to extend Caroline Street with, they're proposing within their subdivision a full boulevard, all landscaped and canopy, again, to make that product more presentable to the city.
They're more long and like New Orleans styles with the
long.
And I thought the price
and
was
then alley gutted as
well. 700 to 800,000.
It was substantial.
Yeah, okay, I thought you said just down at 400. I'm like, no, I thought it was more than that.
It was, for me, 400's a lot.
Yeah.
They entered the house market, but yes, they are.
I think it was like 800 because it's more like the one, okay, yeah, okay. Okay, just making sure that there hadn't been changes that we were not aware of.
No.
I was like, I was pretty sure that they were gonna be the 800.
High-end, yes, high-end products.
New Orleans style where they're long, where the lots were smaller, but to make.
More depth.
Yes, and then have a setback and they're doing beautiful fronts and all of that.
And also alley loaded garages.
Yes, correct.
But basically no yards, they're
Little yard.
very
Little yards.
Little yard.
Make a motion, we accept agenda item number 21 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson, we accept item number 21 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Fox. This motion is debatable and amendable. Requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item 21 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll accept item 21 as presented. 22 on your agenda, consideration possible action on a variance request regarding the placement of the vegetative setback and allowing landscaping within the floodplain for the FM 1097 Retail Plaza development number 2505.
Good evening again. So this property, there should be an exhibit on page. Sorry about that. On page. One 136, that outlines the site being proposed. This is the property directly adjacent to Atkins Creek where they're doing the FM 1097 roadway improvements from TxDOT. The variance request was for two things. One being retaining walls and fences being allowed within the utility easement. And then another being tree being planted within the floodplain. So I'll tackle the first one first. With the retaining walls and fences being allowed within utility easement, there is an existing 16-foot utility easement on the back side of their property. Today, there is existing sanitary sewer that stops approximately halfway from the end of the property heading towards Atkins Creek, so it doesn't utilize the entire utility easement from start to finish of their property. There is no plans in the future of extending the sanitary sewer easement, so it would stop, not easement, line, excuse me. It would stop where it currently dead ends, approximately in the middle of their property. What they're looking to do with this retaining wall, and you'll see on those exhibits on 136 through 138, fences on either side of the utility easement. So one on the property line or just before, and then one on the utility line easement. What that allows for city staff to do is, again, maintain and access that utility line from either side of the property, whether they're entering from FM 1097 or coming on the back side from Waterstone. It has an opening between it. On one portion of that fence is, or not fence, on one portion of that utility easement is a fence sitting upon a retaining wall. On the other side of that utility easement is just the fence. The overall height, retaining wall and fence, or just fence, would be 8 feet tall. So there is consistency between both of those sides. So you're not looking at kind of a inconsistent height on that. With that being said, additionally on that, not on their property, but south of their property, there is an existing berm, so that adds even an additional buffer between whatever future single-family homes are built on that Waterstone property versus what's seen from the FM 1097 tract. All in all, to say they are providing the visual barrier that is being required from them. They're just asking to put retaining walls and fences within that utility easement. And again, with the utility easement in place, it would allow us as a city to make repairs without any additional cost for repairing or improving those retaining walls or fences.
And this retaining wall and these fences are the responsibility of the
property owner,
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Make a motion, we accept agenda item number 22 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson, we accept item 22 as presented. Second by Mr. Glazier. This motion is favorable, amendable, requires a majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item 22 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. We'll accept item number 22 as presented. 23 on your agenda. Consideration and possible action authorizing the city administrator to sign the consent to encroachment by and between the city of Montgomery and the developer Parkside Capital LLC, development number 2502.
Good evening again. So on this one, I would like to direct your attention to page 153 of your packet. On that page, you'll see an exhibit kind of outlining, one, the overall subdivision and what's being planned, and then two, if you can see some of those highlighted portions of the development, that shows what areas are being encroached upon by private infrastructure on public utilities or right away. With that being said, this encroachment agreement, it's very standard language. Y'all seen a few of these in recent months, essentially outlining roles and responsibility of private improvements on public utility easements. This agreement outlines that if any repairs are needed for public infrastructure, water line replacement, sanitary sewer, manhole rehab, or what have you, that the city is not liable for any repairs or damages to private infrastructure located within these easements. So in the event that Mike and his team have to go out and make any repairs to a hydrant or manhole, that cost for the repair is on the city, but not any cost on the private utilities located within those easements. So they're proposing retaining walls, trees, sidewalks, etc. That would be on the private property owner, HOA, district, mud district to repair and maintain.
Make a motion, we accept agenda item number 23 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Dodson, we accept item number 23 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Langley. All those in favor of accepting item 23 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and we'll accept item 23 as presented. 24 on your agenda. Consideration possible action authorizing the city administrator to sign the consent to encroachment by and between the city of Montgomery and the developer Tri Point Homes, Texas, Inc. for the Legacy Grove development number 2409.
Good evening again. So very similar. If you turn to page 159 of your packet, you'll see the proposed or preliminary location of the monument sign that Tri Point and Legacy Grove is proposing. Just to kind of provide a little bit of context here, this portion of the development has not been reviewed by the city engineer yet. They are trying to get ahead of what's to come, and so they're trying to paper up this encroachment agreement just to outline, hey, the city is fine with the general location, but we will be submitting plans for review and approval to the city engineer and city council for the single family component of this development in the future. This encroachment agreement just gets ahead of that. Again, if any repairs are required to public lines, any repairs to the additional private utilities or monument signs, fixtures, etc., would be on the MUD, district, HOA, or developer to repair and pay for.
And this is on the entrance of 105.
Yes, ma'am. So recently y'all did approve an encroachment agreement for the Lone Star Parkway entrance. This is for section 2 that would be entering on 105, correct?
And this is where Westway is? This
yes,
is
ma'am.
Entrance? Okay.
Westway, right between Mid-South and Napa.
So explain this statement. Please note that this only approves construction within the utility easement. Final location will be determined at the time of review of Legacy Grove Section 2.
So they haven't submitted Section 2 yet. They're trying to get ahead with the understanding that lift Section 5 utility lines are being laid in a few months, trying to get ahead of any potential encroachment they would need on the monument sign.
Yeah, Section 2.
Yeah. And we are expecting those later this year.
I make a motion to accept agenda item number 24 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, we accept item number 24 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Langley. All those in favor of accepting item number 24 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and we'll accept 24 as presented. 25 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action regarding the approval of change order number 1 for modifications to the lift station conduit system for lift station number 10, improvements phase 2.
All right, give Zach a break a little bit.
I was going to say.
So,
I was like, that's Chris.
quick switch. We'll come back in a second. So what this item is, if you remember, Taylor Morrison is funding the improvements to lift station 10. During the construction of that project, we had a couple things pop up. What this change order is for is when they went to use the existing conduits, they were found that they had collapsed. And so they're having to replace the conduits on site. And talking with Public Works and Hayes, they're seeing this a lot of lift stations, not just in the city, but elsewhere, that these issues are popping up. So what's in this change order is the cost for installing the new conduits, as well as the biggest share of this cost is additional bypass pumping, because they have to have the lift station offline while they do that work. So the total change order amount $24,164.38. It's about a 6.7% increase in contract amount. If you remember, the way that this project is, the agreement with Taylor Morrison is they put up the cost plus a contingency of 10%. So we're still within that. They have been notified of the change, so they're aware.
And so it's a conduit failure, like from the manufacturer?
No, so the existing conduit that was on site when that lift station was originally installed, they went to reuse it and it was not usable, so they're having to remove and replace versus just pull wires through.
Is that old technology, or is it gonna last longer?
It's hard to say. So I mean, it could have been installation at the time that those lift stations were installed 25 years ago or so. So I mean, they've been around a while. But ideally, when we're not having conduits are supposed to be put in banks, and so we don't have these issues. So these new ones will go in properly. So.
That is what I was gonna ask, so these are, what was existing is about 20 some odd years old.
Correct.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Mr. Glazer made a motion to accept number 25 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Fox. All those in favor of accepting item number 25 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries and will accept 25 as presented. Number 26 on your agenda, consideration of possible action regarding authorizing the city engineer to begin bid documentation, bid, and oversee construction of phase 1 of the Town Creek wastewater treatment plant project, the project.
The next two items are the same, are for two different projects. So if you remember, you have Half Associates that's completing the design of the wastewater plant. At your last meeting, you all authorized the bidding, the same thing for the demolition portion of that project. That is advertising in the paper starting tomorrow to receive bids on it. This is that follow-up piece. So once the demo is complete, this is the piece to complete the bidding and construction of the full project. So just reminder of what's in it. So what's in our proposal is for a total of 800 days worth of work from bidding, going through contracts, overseeing about a year-long construction, plus carrying it through a 1-year warranty of a year. What's included in the costs are those services plus surveying costs, construction materials testing, which those are all pass-through costs, and then anything that comes up during the warranty period, bidding, advertisement, things like that. If you look on page 168 of your packets, this is on both this and the next item. This is just a summary of all the project costs and the bonds that y'all have sold. So this includes construction contingencies, engineering, design, reimbursables, everything associated with water plant 4 and the wastewater plant. So if you follow all those costs down, I'm not going to go item by item, but this Town Creek wastewater plant project, the total cost of it's around $14.5 million. The bidding or the demo project is another 1.1, 1.2, and water plant number 4 estimated at the end of the day is about 11.7. That gives you the total of $27,445,000, which is what you sold the COs for. So what we plan on doing is keeping this up to date and present it to you on a monthly or so basis, so you can kind of see as actual costs come in those. Because right now the only thing that the city has incurred are the design costs by Half and Baxter and Woodman, but the rest of it just so you can see as we're working through those projects over the next 2 years between the actual construction and warranty of it. So ASNI has authorized us to proceed with the work. This one we wouldn't bid until, so based on their schedule, they expect to have us final plans in June. So we'll be putting together the bid package and bidding this and having bids in front of you likely at the end of July or 1st of August. And then that would line up with the completion of the demo work.
And so we think we could have this wastewater plant online by end of next year?
Yes. So if it bids, the bidding of the project, that means we're starting construction in August. It's a year-long project. Mm-hmm. So that will be summer of 27 that it will be full.
Make a motion, we accept agenda item number 26 as presented.
Motion by Mr. Donaldson, we accept item number 26 as presented.
Second.
Second by Mr. Glazer. All those in favor of accepting item 26 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll accept number 26 as presented. 27 on your agenda, consideration possible action regarding authorizing the city engineer to begin bid documentation, bid, and oversee construction of water plant number 4, the project.
Yes. So very similar to the last one, this is just water plant 4. So this is the elevated tower over on Old Plantersville Road and Old Dobbin Plantersville Road at the corner. This includes a new water well and all the disinfection, pumping, etc. on that site. If you remember, the land is being deeded over from Johnson to the city for the Briarly development. This project we received 90% plans last week, so we are doing our final review, and so this one will be slightly ahead of the wastewater project. We don't have the demo time to deal with. So the main things that we're waiting on is once we have the land deeded over, they can do the final submission for approvals. And we talked to Johnson Development this morning, they're wrapping that up. So again, this same thing is about the same construction time that's in it. It includes survey, materials testing, inspection, and 1-year warranty for the project.
Is it still going on in the corner there?
It is. Yes, it's right at the hard corner. So there'll be access on both sides, but the main access will be coming off of Old Plantersville, Old Dobbin Plantersville, so they're not having to go through the neighborhood, but it'll be accessible by both sides.
Do we have the art design for it?
Do it.
What are we gonna paint on there?
We're just going with standard colors.
Boring.
It is, but it's a lot cheaper than
Yeah.
a mural and keeping that up, so.
All right.
I make a motion we approve as presented.
Mr. Glazer made a motion that we approve number 27 as presented. Seconded by Ms. Langley. All those in favor accepting item number 27 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we'll accept item number 27 as presented. 28 on your agenda, consideration of possible action on the first reading of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, approving a project and expenditure of the Montgomery Economic Development Corporation for design and construction of improvements to the Downtown Improvements Project in Montgomery County, Texas. Zach.
Good evening.
Exciting stuff.
Can you also open up the first, I think it was the first PDF you had in that folder? Just want to show
Picture of which? The south lot?
Oh, the corner, 105 and 149?
So in front of y'all today, kind of just to provide some updates on the project overall. We presented a resolution to BDC last Tuesday. Yes, last Tuesday for phase 1 and phase 3. Phase 1 and phase 3 are just McCowan Street from the community center all the way down to 105. On these two PDFs, you'll see kind of what's being proposed throughout the project. For phase 1 and phase 3, again, the community center is excluded from that scope today. All in all, your costs are looking to be about $2.5 million. And that includes landscaping, your storm, your water, pavement replacement, brick pavers, and some site work on these two adjacent blocks. In this site plan on the southern lot, you'll see on that northern lot, the regular pooling house. That cost is not included in that $2.5 million. That is a separate cost that will be realized by MDC later. But we are working closely with staff on the relocation and structural component of that. And then on the southern lot, you'll see kind of a preliminary site plan on what's being proposed. The two things that I want to point out that are there is the Liberty Tree and the monument sign on that hard corner. The final layout of all that will be determined once we're going through design, excuse me. And again, we'll be going back and forth with staff and ourselves on kind of what makes sense for overall display of that. Realizing that with our, he's pulling that up, realizing with the overall improvement, we want to make sure that it's cohesive from start to finish. So from 105 all the way to the community building, our landscape architect is going to be putting together some 3D renderings of how that view looks from 105. So we're making sure, hey, this is the focal point of the historic downtown that we're looking to see. And so what's in front of y'all now is a exhibit prepared by y'all sign manufacturer that's completing the wayfinding around the city. As I understand, the Montgomery is kind of arced from an aerial, so it's less wide. I don't know if this is this the exhibit?
Yeah, we can show how it lays out.
Being the birthplace of the Texas flag and the city hall is moving, can we not add that to the bottom of that, or is it just a suggestion?
You mean the words?
Underneath that Montgomery,
I mean, it's sitting on the ground though.
can we elevate it?
That's how it lays out.
Okay.
For example, I mean, there could be a space on the star part because there's a monument portion of that and a area to sit on to take pictures. So potentially, where the rock is back there, we could have it written on there, if you know what I mean.
Just because we're moving and missing this part right here that's in front of City Hall. I haven't seen any renderings where it's going to be at City Hall, but we would certainly want to, because we are very proud of that, have it displayed somewhere on a main thoroughfare.
Yeah, I thought that we were going to have on that south wall, I thought we were going to have something that it was the birthplace of the Texas flag. I thought that was there, is that not true?
I'm not sure if this was incorporated with the wayfinding or not. As far as our scope, I don't think that's been determined, but we can, again, work with our landscape architect to see, where that makes
That would be
sense.
an opportunity missed.
I think so too, and I'd prefer it there than City Hall, just because that's a much more, well, both places for sure, but City Hall's gonna have the big flag hanging in the glass, which is pretty, but.
Well, there is gonna be flags there. The
Yeah.
flags are gonna,
No, I mean, every city in Texas has a Texas flag, we need to know that it came from here.
you want the words is what you're saying.
Yes. I want the verbiage, yes.
And you need to come to EDC because they're the ones that
I
do
think I
this
was at
design.
EDC. I was.
This is their design, or their idea. But you see where the rock wall is,
Yeah.
there's more rock wall in that star. And there's probably opportunity to put that on the other side of that.
They don't have me talking EDC.
And the LED sign is coming down, correct?
Yeah, the old one, yeah.
Yeah, or, but there's not a new one gonna replace it?
No.
We've looked at alternate locations where, the opposite corner, where that little monument is, potentially there.
Yeah, okay.
So that's, it was not in this exact budget, but they still believe it needs to be there, somewhere in that location.
So a sign somewhere on here at some point, is that what you're saying?
A digital sign?
Yeah, yeah.
On that corner up there on the other side of the donut,
Way up there.
where that old,
Hodgepodge Lodge.
Oh,
Way up there where you
Up
don't
Prairie
even
Street.
look because you're too worried about who's coming out of McDonald's and who's coming out to even see what might be on this digital sign that doesn't belong there.
we can take it offline.
So again, kind of just what's in front of y'all tonight is y'all authorizing MDC to continue with the design and construction with the not to exceed amount of the $2.528 million. That's $2,528,000, all included.
That we have money for, that we are not gonna have to take out any loans for? Yeah.
no, and if you remember
Just
back when this
Just putting
McGowan,
it on the record.
yeah,
Okay.
when this McGowan Street project started, it was only the middle part of McGowan Street,
Correct.
and it was close to $3 million. We've expanded this, cleaned up the project, and with the help of Zach and these guys, we're covering the whole McGowan Street.
Yeah.
For nearly the same money.
Just for the record, thank you. Appreciate that.
I would like to make a motion to accept item number 28 as written.
Motion by Ms. Fox.
With the exception of saying that the birthplace of the Texas flag.
I think we can get that in there.
I just want to note that this is the first of 2 readings for an MEDC project.
Repeat that, Ruby.
This is the first of 2 readings for an MEDC project. So it'll come back on the next council agenda.
So we're not approving as is.
You are approving it as.
Conceptual.
But it has to be
With
read
that
twice.
added-
Yes, conceptual, correct.
Conceptual and the money
Looks
issue.
great to me.
Okay, so there is a motion on the table that we accept item number 28 as presented by Ms. Fox.
Second.
Well, was it with the exception of adding that, or can that be noted in there? Because I agree.
All you're doing is, you're approving the expenditure of the EDC. EDC has to bring everything to you, and the council has to approve their expenditure.
Okay, we have a second.
So then a second, Mr. Donaldson seconded that. Is there room for further discussion? All those in favor of accepting item number 28 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll accept item number 28 as presented. 29 on your agenda. Okay. Presentation by the top 3 finalists for construction manager at risk for the municipal complex project.
Very good.
These presentations are for introductory purposes only. Staff has completed a full evaluation process, including proposals and interviews. Tonight is an opportunity for council to hear directly from the firms prior to final direction. We have 3 firms here this evening. 1 will be McFate, EBI, 2 is Stewart Builders, and 3 is Telspin. I don't know, Telpson? You can tell us. All right, cool. All right, so we will go ahead, McFate, if you'll please come and do up front and do your presentation, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Just tell me when to move to the next
There
slide.
is the flag right
I'm
there.
good for mine, so. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for this opportunity and your time. I'm Robert McFate, President of the McFate Group. For this project, our role is straightforward. We represent the city of Montgomery. We take ownership of this project from start to finish. From day one, we ensure the design aligns with your budget and identify risk early before they become costly issues in the field. We manage the coordination, constructability, and costs so there are no surprises later. As the project moves into construction, we stay directly involved, tracking progress, enforcing the schedule, reviewing change orders, and holding all parties accountable. We bring a design-build perspective, which allows us to identify where projects typically break down and step in early to prevent delays and costly overruns. Just as important, we maintain clear, consistent communication with you so you always know where the project stands. At the end of the day, our job is to deliver the project on budget, on schedule, and without unnecessary issues for the city of Montgomery. We appreciate this opportunity and look forward to working with you on the construction. I'm going to turn it over to these guys now. Dennis is going to introduce the team.
Thank you. Our project manager and estimator for this project is going to be Nick Winston. Our project engineer will be Ben Grover. Dennis Fleming, myself, will be field supervision and management. And John Stevens is our in-house architect. Our team combines field experience and technical expertise. From project management estimating to in-house architect to field supervision. We've built this group, both understand design intent and real-world construction. That balance is very critical in the CMR delivery. Our structure is intentionally collaborative. We integrated the project management with field leadership and design early in the process, which makes faster decisions, maintain accountability, and keep the project moving efficiently. Now I'd like to introduce Nick Winston, who will talk about the project and estimating side.
Our approach is centered on delivering best value through a combination of competitive CM fee, a highly collaborative project. By pairing cost-effective management with early involvement, we're able to proactively control budget and schedule without sacrificing quality. Our existing working relationship and familiarity with the architect allows us to integrate seamlessly from day one. This leads to more efficient coordination, faster decision-making, and fewer disconnects between the design and the construction out in the field, ultimately saving time and reducing risk for the city of Montgomery. As a Montgomery-based company, we're invested in this community, not just building projects, but also building relationships. With our growing project workload, we're planning to hire an additional 3 to 4 local team members, and by the end of the year, further reinforcing our commitment to the local economy and workforce. We have worked across a wide range of market sectors, but what stands out is our ability to successfully handle complex projects, whether it's municipal, industrial, or retail. We understand how to plan and execute to deliver products that our clients are looking for. The next few slides are a couple of projects highlighting our ability to deliver similar work, both in scale and complexity to this project. We've successfully managed ground-up construction, renovations, and additions, always with a focus on coordination, safety, and meeting our clients' expectations. First project I'd like to talk about is the Grosse Pointe DPW project, which consisted of a new pre-engineered metal building, including vehicle storage, a supporting office space, and a mezzanine. Next project is the Novi DPS project, which included a renovation of existing 16,000 square foot DPS facility, along with construction of 40,000 square foot vehicle maintenance addition, requiring careful coordination between new and existing operations. These next two projects were using a design-build approach, highlighting the strength of an integrated team structure to what we are proposing for you guys for your project. First project was the Motor City Electric project, which shared several similarities with this project, including it being a pre-engineered metal building with a 2-story office build-out. The office build-out included elevators, a break room, conference rooms, and other open office, along with enhanced security features that is relatable to what the Montgomery Municipal Project will have. Last project I'd like to discuss is the EWF project. This was another high-end office build-out inside of a pre-engineered metal building. The similarity between this project and the Montgomery Municipal Project is the exterior elements that tied back into the pre-engineered metal building, similar to the preliminary design that the Montgomery design team has shown in the initial renderings. Our estimating approach is proactive and collaborative with the design team. I'm going to work hand in hand with John Stevens, the architect, and his design team throughout the whole pre-construction phase. We've already provided 5 budgetary estimates for the city, and we plan on providing 4 more throughout the design phase, up leading until the GMP is provided. Historically, this process has allowed us to maintain an accuracy within 5% or better from schematic design through final construction. We achieve this through a thorough bidding process, clearly defined scope for each trade, and a detailed bid evaluation to ensure alignment with project intent. We also provide value engineering options as needed, giving the city flexibility to make informed decisions and maintain budget control. I'm going to turn it over at this point to Ben Grover, who will talk how during our construction phase we'll coordinate with the city.
Good evening. Here we're looking at Procore. This is the tool that we use between field, office, and ownership or municipality in this case. Here we're going to have all of our daily logs, other document controls such as drawings, specifications, RFIs, submittal management, on-site progress photos, meeting minutes of our OECs that we can distribute in PDF format or via the Procore app itself, all the way through our punch list. We develop a punch list with our in-house architect and our team that we can ship out to all subcontractors, whoever might need to finish out the project with us. Next slide. Here's an example of what we put together as far as scheduling. We use Microsoft Project as our primary tool for scheduling. With this, we'll have our overall project schedule that we will utilize throughout the entire project based on community milestones and our own milestones within. We're going to take what you guys want and try to make that happen and hit those milestones throughout. Best way we found to do that is with 3-week look-aheads on a weekly basis. We'll have our on-site superintendent create the look-aheads with our PM. They will go over it on a weekly basis, and then in our OACs, we can utilize that to distribute to you guys and show if we're tracking, if we're not tracking, how we're gonna get back on track. We found that this tool implemented into Procore as well allows us to distribute it to all of our subcontractors and anybody else who might be on pace with our schedule. Next slide. In closing here, and to reiterate, the McFate difference that we're trying to showcase to you guys tonight is that we believe that we have a very competitive CM fee, and we have a collaboration with our in-house architect that's going to lead to time and money saved on this project. Ultimately, our goal is to bring forward what you guys want to this community and use all of our tools at hand to make that happen. Again, we're Montgomery based and we're looking to reinvest in this community and continue to grow. With that, I thank you guys for your time. We'll move on.
Thank you very much. All right, next up, Stewart Builders, please.
Good evening, Mayor Countryman,
Hello.
members of the council. Thank you for having us. So I am Chris Lynn. I am the Assistant Director of Pre-Construction Services for Stewart Builders. I wanted to start, y'all started this meeting with a lot of thank yous to staff and recognitions, and having been on an owner's side at a school district, I understand all the work that's gone in to get this to where they are tonight. So I wanted to take a minute to say thank you to Mr. Walker and Ms. Bevan for all of their efforts and responding to our many questions and getting us here tonight. With me tonight, I have Jay Taylor, who is our project manager for this project, and Glenn Montague, who will be the project superintendent. Unfortunately, our president had a prior engagement and could not be here this evening, Mr. Tommy Bertrand, but he is with us in spirit. Hopefully, you recognize the name Stewart Builders. If you don't, perhaps you should. We have recently, in the last 3 years, completed $100 million worth of work in the community. We are the ones who have had the privilege of working with Montgomery ISD to complete the DEN, which is our CTE and agricultural science facility. We have also had the privilege of renovating Montgomery High School, the Montgomery High School, I think, as they say. And,
thank you for that.
Go Bears. And then also renovating the Montgomery Athletic Complex. So we have been busy in the community. Besides that, Jay is a community resident, and I myself am a proud City of Montgomery resident. So just to say that we are vested in this community. We are not going anywhere. We understand this is a sizable investment for the city and a tremendous project for this community, and we would be honored to be a part of it. So obviously, you've got 3 firms here tonight, okay? Quality firms, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So what separates us from the other firms? And so at Stewart Builders, just to give you a little background, we are family owned. We were started in 1992 in Houston, and we started pouring residential driveways for home builders. And since that time, the Stewart family has turned it into a $1 billion organization comprised of 6 different entities, and Stewart Builders being one of those entities. We have, in the last 3 years, I mentioned our projects in Montgomery, but we have completed nearly $200 million total in Montgomery County. So we know the area. We know the subs that work in this area. We have great relationships with those subs. One of the things that separates us is our passion for pre-construction, okay? We dig in the beginning to help eliminate problems down the road. One of the most important things for this council to understand, if you select Stewart Builders, you are selecting a partner. You are selecting somebody who's going to sit at the table with you and not sit across the room and point fingers, okay? We take that responsibility extremely seriously. 95% of our work at Stewart Builders is utilizing the construction manager at risk process. We are very well versed in that process. And one of the things that we love about that is the transparency. 90% of our work is for public governmental entities, primarily school districts, but they have a governing board just like this council. We understand how keeping an eye on the dollars and tracking the dollars and giving that financial transparency to that board, how critical that is. And we don't take that responsibility lightly. The other thing that you need to know about Stewart Builders is we pride ourselves on relationships. We love to build buildings, but we are even more proud of the relationships that we build. 95% of our business comes from repeat customers. And so just know we are local, we are here. We would love to be able to build your building, but we would be even more honored to be your partner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Tellsman. There you go.
You're almost there. Good evening, Mayor, countrymen, council members. My name is Terry Hargis, and first I'd like to start by saying thank you. As a proud resident of this community, I just appreciate all the hard work that you all do to keep our community as special as it is for my family and our fellow community members. As I said, my name is Terry Hargis. I serve as Executive Vice President for Tellefson. And our company has been around since 1909. It's in its 4th generation of family ownership. We only operate in the greater Houston area, and we primarily focus on a variety of projects, but we really get excited about community projects like yours. I believe what separates a project team from another is the team members that are assigned to the project. And so I want each of these team members to talk to you tonight, starting with myself. Not only am I serving as Executive Vice President, I'll also be the executive in charge of this project. I'm passionate about this community and want to see this project successful, as well as be a part of it. So I will serve in that capacity and be a connection with you, an escalation point for the team, the partners that are involved. And I'll welcome the rest of the team to introduce themselves.
Good evening. My name is Sam Hopkins. I've got 28 years in the industry. I'm a graduate of Texas A&M University, and I've had the good fortune to spend the last 23 years at Tellefson. Started in the field working with my tools, moved into estimating postgraduate, spent 16 years in the field, worked on city projects for City of West University, managed the project in the field. My title is Vice President of Pre-Construction. My passion is really setting the project and the operations team up for success. Like Terry, I'm also a resident of Montgomery County and City of Montgomery. This would definitely be something that my family and I would be proud to be a part of. So I really appreciate the consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name is Colby Kraft, and I've been fortunate enough to call Montgomery home for 21 years. My kids make up many generations in this area, and I've been blessed with the opportunity to cowboy across everything this way. So my background, I come from an owner's representative world. Before I joined the Tellefson's team, I was a construction agent. I managed roughly $725 million for San Jacinto College, about $175 million, give or take, for the city of Temple, St. Dominic Village Catholic Archdiocese. I say that because I come from a program-driven background. We drive programs, anywhere from schematic designs to turning over the keys to the end users. Filling in all the gray areas is what I like to call it. We appreciate the opportunity today and for the chance to possibly give back to our community.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joel Reno. I'm a project manager with Tellefson. I've been with Tellefson for 4.5 years. First, I wanted to thank Brent, Zach, and Chief Solomon for y'all's time interviewing us. This project really hits home, I guess is a way to say it. This is home for me. I live in Montgomery. My children are 2 and 5, and I got to see my kids kind of look up and see the history of Montgomery. So I know that Jim's wasn't necessarily a heritage project being built in 2007, but to me, this is a heritage project. You know, my son to get to look up and see City Hall and the police department and really bring something to life that he can actually notice and appreciate. My prior experience actually started out in high-end corporate interiors. From there, I've done everything from medical. I'm actually doing a city operations and administrative building for the city of West University, as well as the city of Pearland. With me today, I have a great group of guys, not just as an honor to sit in front of you guys and present ourselves for this project, but it's an honor to be a part of a project team like we have behind me. And not many people in Tellefson really get this opportunity, so it's a really big one for us, and we really appreciate y'all's time and opportunities. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to meet y'all. I'm Terry Van Orm, Senior Superintendent proposed for your project. I've lived in the area for 36 years, love it out here, still a country boy. I've raised 3 sons who have chosen to stay in the area, and they blessed me with 4 grandsons. So we've got a whole construction company coming up here. But I recently just completed the Houston Police Department project, which has many similarities to your venture here, in the fact that it's a remodel of a 100-year-old building, a little older than Jim's, but it had new elevators installed, stairwells, some stairwells closed off. For the police department, had a lot of access controls, a lot of new technology, so it was a good experience, and it turned out well. It had a parking garage with a bridge attached. One of the key ingredients was the school was 10 foot away. Day school that we kept very good relations with throughout the project. Safety, no safety issues with them. In fact, they were happy to have us, and they said so. So that was a good one to do, and it would be similar to what we're doing here. So we'd be happy to do your project for you. I started into business 46 years ago. Started as a carpenter, field engineer, superintendent. Been with Tellefson a long time, and it's a great company to work for, and we'd love to do your project. Safety, we look out, we focus on safety for both the public and the workers involved. So we'll keep a good, clean job site, and we want the community to be happy to say Tellefson's in town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just in closing, want to reiterate again, really fortunate to be here. Thank you for your time this evening. Look forward to hopefully being your partner in this process. And if there's any question we can answer for you, Ms. Mayor, or council members, we're happy to do so.
I think I just figured out how to say your name after hearing all y'all say it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Tellefson, thank you. All right. Executive session number 30. Closed session. City Council will meet in closed session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained in A, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. It is 8:20, and we will head into closed session.
You guys are not required to stay here. I will reach out to...
Go grocery shopping and get some gas while you're here so we can use your text numbers.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is 8:46 and we are back into regular open session. City Council will reconvene in open session, at which time action on the matters discussed in closed session may be considered. A, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we will have an award to the construction manager at risk for the risk firm. I want to explain to everybody here that did, we are very honored that you even considered making our proposal to us, and how honored we were, and that everybody was right exactly up top. It was such a difficult decision, and it was, and we do really appreciate your coming forward and giving us bids on this. But we have decided to award it to Telefon as a selected construction manager at risk firm for the municipal complex project, and authorize the city administrator to finalize and execute the agreement.
All right, motion by Ms. Fox that we authorize the selection of Telespin as construction manager at risk CMAR for the municipal complex project, and authorize the city administrator to negotiate a contract.
Second.
Second by Mr. Donaldson. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of awarding Telespin as the selected construction manager at risk firm for the municipal complex project, and authorize the city administrator to finalize and execute an agreement, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will award Telespin as the selected construction manager at risk firm for the municipal complex project, and authorize the city administrator to finalize and execute an agreement. All right. Closing agenda, council inquiry. Next up, items to consider for future placement. Next up, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Langley and Ms. Fox have made a motion, a first and a second, to adjourn. It is 8:48. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. All right, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Hey, Joe. Thanks, Chief. I appreciate it. Yeah.